Hello. We are now live again after the holiday season. It is January, and so we thought we are going to talk a little bit today about goal setting, because January is of course famous for New Year's resolutions for individuals, and of course companies love to set goals too for the whole year. And so we find ourselves having a lot of conversations with leaders about goal setting. How do I motivate my team? How do I get them inspired to want to reach for greater heights and meet bigger targets and all of those kind of things. So we thought, you know what, let's have a conversation about that. So that's what today is all about.
Yeah, it's the whole month of New Year, New Me. I think we've all heard that a few times. And you're right, we have personal resolutions, we have professional resolutions, and especially when it comes to teams, I think we're all looking at really big goals this year, especially with the circumstances of everything that's going on. There's a lot of big changes and flexibility coming in, and so we're all kind of making huge adjustments in our professional life, which is a great opportunity for us to do things a little differently, maybe. And one thing we were just talking about before we jumped on this broadcast was how most of us, when we set goals, both personally and professionally, we tend to undercut ourselves a little bit. We tend to go with the goals we know we can hit rather than pushing ourselves a little bit and going after the thing that we really want. So we'll talk a little bit more about that. But in the meantime, let us know if you're here watching live or watching the replay, and let us know where you're tuning in from.
Yeah, absolutely. We are live on multiple platforms. We're live on Facebook. We're live on LinkedIn. We're of course live on YouTube. So wherever you are viewing us from, you can make comments and join in. And of course, we'd love to know, what are some of your goals, for this year? Have you actually set goals for yourself? Kilani, I'm going to ask you the same question. Did you set any goals for yourself this year?
Oh yeah, definitely. I'm a big goal setter. I definitely I set more monthly goals, I think, than I do yearly, but I kind of use my yearly vision as a way to map out my monthly goals. So I have goals in every area of my life pretty much, and they're all very specific and maybe a little bit more of a reach than I know that I can hit.
Yeah, share. Blue set goals too. Blue's meowing in the background. She's like, I have a goal, more snacks. Hi,
yes,
Blue.
I don't know what's going on over there, but she's chatting up Storm.
She's joining the conversation. Yeah.
Yes,
so it could be because I just spent 3 weeks with you in Toronto, and so Blue might be used to hearing my voice.
Oh, maybe.
And so of course now she's hearing my voice through the computer and then going, oh wait, where is he? What's he doing in the microwave? So yeah, but yeah, so she chimed in. That's always really good. And it's really funny, right? For me, I looked a number of years ago that I actually do really well with long-term goals. So back in, and I think it was 2018, I was always one of those people like, I'm too spontaneous. I'm like, I don't really care. I'm not really going to kind of create long-term goals for myself. And then in 2018, I had this goal of just kind of making some professional changes and some differences, and decided to set an annual goal. And what I discovered is that I'm actually one of those people who can be really committed to setting an annual goal. And and of course, as you know, Kilani, last year, for example, one of my goals was cutting out sugar from my diet. And you'll remember many times where we were having dinner and talking about dessert, and I'm like, no thanks, right? And for the entire year I did not eat sugar, and it was one of the most incredible experiences I've ever had. And so I've just learned that I'm one of those people, when I actually tell myself that I'm going to do something and I'm going to see it through, then I'm actually quite good with that. So every year I'm gaining confidence in terms of setting bigger goals for myself, because I always feel even for me included, is that I also have a tendency to, when the when the year's over and I've achieved the goals that I've set for myself, I kind of look back and go, that was actually kind of easy, right? That actually wasn't as hard as I thought it was going to be, and it shows me how even for me personally, I have a tendency to, even though I think I'm setting a big goal, that the goal is actually I'm still cutting myself way too short every year, right? So it's a very interesting process that I'm learning about myself, about goals and how much more I'm actually capable of as a human being, and just kind of tell myself in the beginning, this goal is probably too big for me. I probably can't do that, right? And it's quite funny. I had a conversation about 6 months ago, actually, with a guy, and who's, by the way, who's just a regular employee in the company. Works for worked for an IT company. He recently changed jobs. And he was telling me that he was kind of in that same process as me of kind of learning how to set bigger goals. And he made this goal with two of his friends, and he said, you know what, let's do something outrageous this year, and let's commit to making $1 million each this year. And that's going to be our annual goal. In 1 year, we're all going to make $1 million. And they all kind of looked at each other like, damn, that's like, how do I do that? Right? And that became the annual goal. That became the goal for each and every one of them. And they used each other as a support system and an accountability system to be able to do it. And long story short, yes, he dedicated an entire year, probably lost about 5 years worth of life in terms of the amount of energy and time he was spending into making that $1 million. But by the end of the year in December, he made $1 million. And what he learned from that, right, was that, like, the same thing, is that how much he's actually capable of as a human being. And all these years that he was just working for an employer and kind of doing his job was really kind of his safe place. And he was like, I don't want to live a safe life. Like, it's way too much fun, right? And so he ended up starting his own business, and he's actually now in. We got the phone going. So he's now in real estate, and has become a real estate developer. Not just a real estate person who buys and sells homes and stuff like that, but he literally builds buildings, and is now talking about hundreds of millions of dollars in annual revenue, because he just knows he's capable of doing it. So it's quite funny how we can really just kind of set these goals for ourselves, thinking that we're setting a big goal, when in reality they're just this small compared to what we're really capable of in life.
Yeah, absolutely. Oh, I was really hoping I'm going to turn that off really quick.
No worries at all. Yeah. And and so I think that when it comes down to goal setting, I think many of us struggle in the same way. But it also, for for companies, it's the same thing, right? Is that many companies want to see growth, and they want to pursue growth. And whether you're an entrepreneur and you have a small company that is requiring growth, or you have you're in a large conglomerate, all of these companies set certain targets and certain goals to be able to grow annually, right? Because there's kind of an annual growth requirement, and for some companies that growth percentage can be set pretty high, and so for some other companies they set it a little bit more moderately. But every year we want to be seeing growth in the companies that we're running. And yet when I have conversations with these leaders in terms of how they come to these numbers, they're still pretty safe numbers, right? And they all kind of use that same acronym, right? That we're all so familiar with, which is SMART goals. We're like, oh yeah, we set SMART goals all the time, and I'm like, why? Why would you set a SMART goal? Like, set a SMART goal doesn't mean that you're being smart. It means you're being safe, right? And because that's what really what SMART goals mean.
Yeah, I think that's a great point because we often don't think of the word smart in that way, but if you look at the way we use it kind of in everyday language, when we say smart, it typically means safe. When your parents tell you be smart, it means be careful, do the right
Ah,
thing, right? And
that's
think of
right.
that,
That's so true, isn't it?
yeah.
Yeah.
And so I think it really comes down to where do you want to be at the end of the year, right? Do you want to be smart? Do you want to play it safe? In which case, if you want to play within the bounds of your comfort zone, that's one thing, right? But
Yeah.
if you want to stand out, you hear a lot of companies, a lot of people saying, I want to stand out, I'm going to do something big this year. And then the goals they set are like this small, right?
Hmm.
And so it kind of, your intention needs to line up with the goals that you set, and same vice versa.
Yeah. Yeah. Exactly. Exactly. And was it Bob Proctor that spoke about that as well? Yeah.
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 Yeah, so for those of you who don't know Bob Proctor, I'm sure many of you have at least heard his name before, but he's probably one of like the founding fathers of self-development. He recently
Yeah.
passed away. He's a super old guy, super wise guy. He wrote tons and tons of books, and he talked a lot about goal setting and achieving your goals. If you've seen the movie The Secret or read the book The Secret, he's one of the guys in there. And he basically has this idea of three different kinds of goals that people set for themselves. And the way that he says it is there's only really one of those that are actual goals. The other two are more of excuses that we like to call goals. So they're called A, B, and C goals. A being something you're going to achieve. Typically, it's something you've achieved before. So, for example, say you bought a new car 3 years ago, and now your goal is to buy a new car for yourself. That technically, in and of itself, isn't a goal because you can do it. You've done it before. B goals are something that you can do it if there was some circumstantial change. So when you say, if I had the time, I could do it. If I had the money, I could do it. But there isn't really that commitment or drive to it. And then the C goals are those ridiculous, big dream goals that scare you a lot and you have no idea how you're going to achieve them. And I think those are the kind of goals that we really want to touch on today.
Mhm.
And is what we're saying is kind of the opposite to the SMART goal, which is really getting outside of your comfort zone and setting those high standards for yourself to make the big leaps and become something different in a year.
Yeah, it's if if there's anything I can say is, hey, this is the time of the year, right? To be not safe, right? Is to throw caution out the window. Don't be smart, right? Stop being smart. It's not that's not what's going to get you to where you want to be in life. Be not smart, right? Be kind of how do you call it? Be a little ridiculous, if you need to, right? It's I remember a leader that I used to work with, and what he used to do, which I thought was really good, is in terms of goal setting, is he would have a kind of almost like the A, B, and C goals as well, right? Where for them, the area of satisfaction or the degree of the meeting expectations, so to speak, would be in that B goal, right? So they would have an A goal where it's kind of like, hey, listen, if we just keep our systems running and we do what we're supposed to do, we can expect 8% growth this year. I'm just going to say something, right? So wonderful. So okay, so what would we need to change to, for example, turn that growth into 20% this year? What circumstances would we need to create? What are the things that we might not be doing, right? To that we can do easily to be able to create a 20% growth. And then there's the what he used to call the holy crap goal, right? Which is okay, what can we do to get 50% growth? What's going to be required from us, right? Is what's what kind of goal can we set that's going to make us all feel a little uncomfortable, kind of like, holy crap, how are we going to do that? And what he liked to do was he would always kind of, articulate to his people and say, listen, we're happy with the B goal. We're happy with, like, if we achieve a B goal, everybody's gonna be fine, everybody's gonna be great and stuff like that. But let's do something outrageous, right? Just because we can, not because we have to or because it's smart, but just because we are that good, right? And I think that is such an important piece of leadership, right? Is that willingness to have a conversation about daring to be outrageous, daring to be not smart, right? It's like, let's not be smart this year. Smart is predictable, right? Let's not be predictable. Let's be unpredictable, right? And sure, there'll be some bumps and bruises along the way, but we'll have fun with this. And I think that's an important factor, and that counts for everybody, right? Whether it's you as an individual or if it's you as a company. I think it's important that we're able to make commitments to those kind of goals, and to really kind of explore them in that kind of way, right? I think that's the other important thing. I also think that where a lot of people have a tendency to go wrong is that we have a tendency to look at goals as a certain outcome, right? As a certain accomplishment marker. And smart goals again are kind of responsible for that, right? Because your goal has to be measurable, right? And so what people are going to do is they're going to say, oh, you know what, this year I'm going to lose 50 pounds. I'm just saying something, right? I'm going to lose 50 pounds of weight this year. By December, I would have lost 50 pounds of weight. But then, of course, by February comes around and they still haven't lost a pound. And they're like, okay, so I have 11 months to lose 50 pounds. By June, they're like, all right, I have 6 months to lose 50 pounds. By October, right, they're like, okay, I have to lose 50 pounds in 2 months, right? And so there's not a lot of continuity, right? There's not a lot of consistency in that form of approach. And so something that I like to recommend to people is to actually not set those type of goals. Don't set a goal where it's about the outcome. It's about where you want to end up. Because when we do that, we always have a tendency to sell ourselves short. Right? How much more in sales am I going to make this year? And you're kind of like, well, I'd love to be able to say I'm going to do 50% more in sales, but I don't want you holding me to it. So I'm going to say 10%. Right? Because it's making sure that we're under promising and over delivering, right? The problem is though is that when we under promise, we also have a tendency to under deliver, and we're not necessarily under delivering on the expectations of others, but we're under delivering on our own potential, and that's very often that challenge. Now, instead of having outcome based goals, I always talk about having behavior-based goals. So for example, you could say to yourself, all right, listen, I want to lose 50 pounds this year. Wonderful. What behaviors do I need to change, or what do I need to learn, or what do I need to start applying every single day that's going to get me to that 50-pound weight loss, right? And it could be, all right, so what that means is that I have to start enjoying working out, right? So I need to start going to the gym and making sure that I find enjoyment in that. I need to, start saying no to certain foods like, cakes and sugars and, all of those kind of things. And so those become the behaviors. And what I find is that the people who are most successful are the ones who can commit to the behaviors, not commit to the goal. Right? So if you can set a behavioral goal, just like me last year, in saying, I'm going to cut out sugar. Here's a funny thing, is by me committing to saying no to sugar for an entire 12 months, I actually lost 30 pounds. I had no goal of losing 30 pounds of weight. I didn't know how much weight I was going to lose. My goal was to say no to sugar for an entire year, and the 30-pound weight loss just ended up, kind of being symptomatic to my decision to, start behaving differently. And that's the key in these kind of things. So what are the daily behaviors that you're willing to commit to? And when we do that, we have a tendency to far surpass whatever kind of, outcome goal that we want to set for ourselves, right? And then whatever outcome there is, we end up being really happy with that. And then we look back at the end of the year and go, wow, simply by doing this one thing every single day, simply by doing this one behavior every single day, after 12 months, look how far I've gotten with that. And that's a really important factor here too, is that we don't want to be setting these measurable and attainable goals and realistic, right? And because it's actually unrealistic. But if I say to myself, listen, I'm going to commit that for the next 12 months, I'm going to say no to sugar. Or for the next 12 months, I'm going to make sure that I call 10 prospects per day. That I may in the past, I may not have done that many. That's going to be my commitment for the year. Right? And every single day that you wake up, focus on that commitment. That becomes your priority of the day. And I can guarantee you that if you just focus on that one thing every single day, the outcome by the end of the year is going to be magnificent.
Mm-hmm.
Right? It's the little things that make the biggest difference.
Yeah, for sure. And I think that's probably the most overlooked piece of goal setting, is looking into what's actually going to make it happen. I think oftentimes we set these big goals, like you said, the end result, and then it's just kind of like, okay, I hope it happens. We'll see at the end of the year if I get there, right? But when we know exactly what we need to do every single day, it makes it a lot easier for us to follow through on it. And it gives us, I forget the saying, it's motivation versus consistency or something like that. That you're not going to be motivated every day, but when you're consistent, that's when the results start showing.
That's right. It's the shift from motivation to discipline.
Right. And it's really hard to hit a yearly goal when you're relying on motivation. But if every day I just need to do this one thing to hit my goals, it's a lot easier to show up consistently, even if you're not motivated, because it's just one thing and done, or however many things and done. Yeah. And what I'm curious, and maybe our listeners are too, is how do you find out what actions you need to take in order to achieve your goal?
Oh, that's a great question. I think for me, right, the way that I like to describe it, and you've heard of me talk about this many times, is I always talk about the 3 C's of success, right? And the 3 C's, of course, are conviction, commitment, and consistency. And whatever it is that we want to achieve in life, we have to be a 10 out of 10 on those 3 C's. The moment that we are willing to compromise and be anything less than a 10, it's going to affect the outcome. It's going to affect the results that we're going to get. And I've learned that, being 57 and, being into fitness and natural bodybuilding and also all of that kind of stuff, is that if I at 57 are, compromise on my 3 C's, immediately it affects how I'm performing, what I'm achieving, and all of those kind of things. So I think the first question that we want to be answering is, what do I need to do to wake up every single day being willing to apply my 3 C's, right? I think that's the most important behavior. and whatever it is. And so when we take that first C, right, which is conviction. Conviction is everything up here, right? That's our mindset, that's our belief system. It's our, the self-belief that I know that I have the capability of doing it. My courage, for example, like all of those kind of, aspects of me. Um, they I have to be a 10 out of 10 on all of those for me to even just be able to kickstart a new behavior or whatever it is that I'm willing to behave. What I find is that those people who are reluctant to start something because they tell themselves, I don't know what to do, they very often lack in the first C. They lack in conviction. One thing I can tell you, I can guarantee you, is that if your conviction is a 10 out of 10, you will do what it takes. Whatever that is, you will be prepared to do whatever it takes, because that's what conviction is, right? And so rather than focusing on doing what it takes, focus on your conviction. Right. And if you're sitting here right now saying, but yeah, I'd love to lose 50 pounds this year, but I don't know what to do, you're struggling with conviction. There's something within you that's telling you that you can't do it, that you're not good enough, that you're going to fail, that you're like all of those kind of things. And you want to work on that first. And even if that becomes your annual goal, is to say every single day, I'm going to tell myself that I got this. I'm capable of doing this. I have 2 arms, 2 legs. I got, a brilliant mind. I have everything that I need to be able to do whatever it is that I want to do in life. And if you can wake up every single day with that belief system, you're always going to be successful. You're always going to be able to apply yourself, right? And so dare to challenge yourself in that area. Raising your conviction will automatically change the way you're thinking about your daily behaviors, right? And a great example is me with my fitness, right? I've always been, I've always worked out, and I've always taken care of myself, and kind of all of those kind of things. Um, but in the beginning of 2022, I asked myself the same question: say, what really is my conviction towards my fitness? And I came to this realization that, even though I like working out and I work out on a regular basis, I don't go all in with regards to my fitness. And so my goal for 2022 became, I'm going to go all in. I'm going to take that conviction, and I'm going to go from, I was probably a 7 out of 10 in terms of conviction. And so because I was a 7 out of 10, I would compromise on certain things. I would eat sugar. I would, have pizza when I wasn't supposed to have it. I'd be like, kind of those kind of things. And so I never reached that pinnacle of fitness that I've always wanted to reach, until I made that decision to myself, I need to be a 10 out of 10. If I really want that type of body that I know I can have, I need to be a 10 out of 10. What does a 10 out of 10 look like? Well, very importantly, is everything that you think you don't want to give up to achieve whatever it is that you want to achieve, chances are you have to be prepared to give those up. And everything that you think that you don't want to do to get to where you're probably going to have to start doing those. Right. And it's quite interesting how that works. Like for me, it was giving up sugar. Oh my God, I used to love sugar. I would love, carrot cake and chocolate cake and cheesecake, desserts and things like that were my thing. I was like, oh my God, yeah. And in the weekends, I wouldn't eat a lot of it, but in the weekends we'd go out, we'd have dinner. It's like, oh man, let's have dessert, right? And inadvertently that created enough damage in my body to prevent me to be able to peak at where I wanted to be able to peak. And for many, many years, I was not willing to compromise on that. I was not willing to go, no, I got to give that up, right? And so whatever it is that you want to accomplish, the moment you hear that little voice in your head go, oh, but I'm not willing to touch my drinking. Oh, I can't stop drinking. I'm not going to stop. Chances are that's probably what you got to focus on doing, because that's part of your a C. That's that first C. If you want to get to a 10 out of 10, that's probably what you need to do. And that is how you figure out what behaviors you need to be addressing, because it's the things that your brain is going to tell you, please don't touch that because I want to hold on to that. That's chances are that's what you need to start doing. That's what conviction is. Conviction is that ability to be able to challenge yourself that way. So you know what? Screw this. This year is going to be different, right? I'm going to go 10 out of 10, and see what happens. Yeah, and because we, at the end of the day, we all know inherently what it is that we need to do to be successful in whatever it is that we want to do. We all know what it takes to be a CEO of a company. We all know what it takes to, take your company from A to Z. We all know what it takes to, lose 50 pounds. We all know these things. Why? Because we are inherently smart and we are inherently wise, right? We have amazing technology, and on top of that, we have Google, right? So we know so many of these things. It's just a matter of, are we willing to address them? And that is the key. That is always the question. And I find that in myself too, is that if I'm willing to do that, if I'm willing to challenge my conviction and say, I'm going to drive this up a notch, amazing things happen. And that's what, the piece of advice I would give to every single person, that you're in the beginning of the year, you're thinking about achieving a goal. I want to challenge you to challenge your conviction, because it's your lack of conviction that's holding you back. And even though you might think you're a 10 out of 10, if you're not getting the results that you really want in life, you're not a 10 out of 10. You're just telling yourself you're one. So there's other things that you need to be doing, right? And that conviction is what then drives the second C, which is commitment. Because we won't be fully committed to doing what it is that we need to do if we don't have that degree of conviction. If let's say I've never swam before and there's a swimming pool and I know I have to jump into the deep end, if I don't have a firm belief in myself that I'm going to be okay and that I have the ability to do what it is that I need to do to keep my head above the water, there's no way I'm going to jump into that swimming pool, right? But if I have the belief and I know that I got this, right, it's going to become a lot easier for me to take that step and to jump in with both feet. And so commitment is your ability to jump in with both feet. And the most of us don't jump in with both feet. Same with our fitness, same with our health, same with our business. We all are trying to put the least amount of our bodies in the pool. We're all trying to dip our toe in the water and feel, is the water too cold? Is the water too hot? Is it too deep? Right? It's like, let's be safe. Let's just dip a toe in there. It's like, oh, look, I'm in the pool. I'm I'm committed. No, that's not commitment, right? Commitment is, are you going all in? Right? So that's that second question. Am I going all in? And if the answer is no, figure out what it is that you need to do to go all in. What does all in look like for you? Yeah. And at the moment that you do 1% or 2% or 10% more of going all in than you did yesterday, you're already making progress. Right. And so that's that ability. And so once we are prepared to go in, we have that conviction, we have that determination, we have the passion, we have the drive. Yeah. And then we jump into that pool with both feet. Right. And we're willing to do that. Then it comes to consistency. Right. That's that ability to jump into the pool every single day. No rest days, no vacations, not with regards to your conviction and your commitment. right? You have to be consistent every single day about those other two C's. There is no vacation from becoming a better version of yourself. You don't get to take a vacation from that, right? That's something that a lot of people struggle with, because a lot of people, they, when we say to ourselves, I don't have the time to exercise, I'm too busy for this, whatever the reason, and how real that reason might feel for you, right? That'll all go back to the conviction conversation, because we all have the time, we all have the resources, we all have the abilities, because we as human beings have been blessed with the ability of resourcefulness, not resources. We all have this capacity to create resources when there are no resources, right? And that's such an important piece of our human psychology. And if you are not a resourceful person, that's not because you're not resourceful, it's because you lack conviction, right? And so being able to layer your three C's is going to take you finally to that consistency of doing what it is that you need to do every single day. And that is what I have learned, over time, is the most important piece. Is, I can have great conviction today, but if I only have great conviction 2 times a week, chances are I'm not going to get where I really deserve to be in life, right? And so that's what I would love to impart on people in this conversation, is stop being smart, right? Throw that smart model out of the window. It's not for you, but instead, right, apply those three C's. Get onto those three C's, apply that as much as you can, and you will see amazing progress in whatever it is that you want to do, whether it's your career, whether it's your health and fitness, or whether it's your financial balance, whatever it is, you will see tremendous growth from that. Yeah. And that would be my piece of advice.
Yeah, and that's a great one for sure. Having the three C's, I think, is the very first step to being able to change anything in your life and to accomplish your goals more specifically. And I think the conversation around the three C's really hits home why we need to be excited about our goals and why we need to set big goals. Because if we're setting, the same SMART goals every year, doing things we know we're going to hit, it's really hard to sacrifice the things that you need to sacrifice and commit to yourself on that different level. But when it's something that you know is big and know that you're going to have to push yourself for, and that that it's a dream achieving goal, you're more willing to put those things out of the way and to bring that into your life.
Absolutely. Yeah. Think about going on, date night with your spouse, right? I mean, what makes you more excited about going on date night with your spouse? Doing something predictable that you always do every single night, or doing something unpredictable? What's going to be more exciting? What's going to bring more adventure into your relationship and into your life, and bring more energy into that, is being unpredictable, right? So when we just do things that are predictable, that becomes boring, and relationships fail, careers fail, businesses fail, simply because we're being predictable, right? And that's what smart does. Smart makes you predictable. Yeah. So don't be smart, be unpredictable. And if that's any advice I can give at the start of the year, to anybody, right? If you want to set big goals for yourself, dare yourself to be unpredictable, right? This is your year, and make something of it. So that's, hopefully, to the listeners, that's what you want to be. That's what you want to be focusing on. Focus on those three C's. Focus on those behaviors that you need to do, right? Kind of that having those behavioral goals, that are going to raise your three C's, raise the commitment to those three C's, because that's ultimately what's going to help you far surpass any form of kind of accomplishment goal that you want to get out of it by the end of the year.
Yeah, that's great advice for sure. And if there's one thing to take away from this call, in my opinion, it would be the 3 C's, and to follow through with that. Set your big goal and then use the 3 C's to follow through and achieve it.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, perfect. I think that's good. And throw SMART out the window. Stop using SMART. Right? Stop it. Right? So we need to think of an acronym of SMART that basically spells what it really is. It's not SMART, it's safe.
Yeah, right? Before this call, we were trying to come up with a new acronym for SMART, trying to match all of the letters with some synonym for slow or safe or boring. Even we got up to A, and then we ran out of time, but we're working on it.
Yeah, that's right. We got for the S in SMART, we got safe. For the M, it's not measurable, it's mundane, right? And instead of being attainable, it's abiding, right? Because you're just following the rules and you're just kind of doing what you're supposed to be doing and all of that kind of stuff. But we haven't figured out the R and the T yet. Maybe that's a great one for the audience.
Yeah,
right?
So if you're ideas, put them in the chat, and we'll definitely add them to our new SMART acronym.
Yeah, that's right. We're going to create an anti-SMART acronym that really spells what SMART really means from a goal setting perspective. Yeah, wonderful. Well, that's pretty much all for me. How about you, Kilani?
Yeah, that's all for me as well. Just thank you everyone for listening as always, and to our guests who are here live with us, thank you for sticking around for the whole thing. Whether you watch live or the replay, we'd love to hear what your biggest takeaway from our conversation was, whether it's the 3 C's, ABC goals, whatever it was. Leave it in the chat. Let us know. We love hearing from you guys. It also gives us some more information on what you want to see in future webinars, because we always want to make sure that we're providing topics that are going to benefit you. So if you have any ideas for future webinars, feel free to leave them in the comments. And as always, if you want to continue the conversation with us, feel free to reach out to us anywhere. We can leave our links in the comment section, or you can just message one of us. And we have some webinars launching soon. More details to come on that. We're still in the planning process, but in the next couple of weeks or so, we'll be rolling out more details. So stay tuned for that.
Nice. I'm actually just writing the message to everybody. And
this is why we need a moderator.
Yes, we need a moderator to do this.
Putting things in chat.
Yeah.
Oh no.
You good?
I put in the wrong. Right. Hang on.
Oh, that's all right.
That one works
right.
too.
That one works too, exactly. So, all right. So, so that's all for us. Thank you for joining this broadcast, and please join us. And of course, subscribe to our YouTube channel. Subscribe to our newsletter on LinkedIn. We have the Next Generation newsletter. Always new articles and new ideas and thoughts coming up. So feel free to join us on there too. And of course, reach out and have a chat and join us for our upcoming new webinars, which we're going to be running as well, for a little bit more intimate conversations around leadership and the ability to create growth for our businesses and of course for our people. Alrighty, good stuff. Well, thanks so much, everybody, and we will see you in the next episode.
Thank you. Right.
Bye. Bye.